Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into Ezekiel, the 13th chapter, as a brief recap of the 12th chapter. Let's see if I remember this here. Yeah, basically, the Lord was telling Ezekiel to behave in such a way as one that was being taken captive, that was going to have to leave his homeland. So Ezekiel basically had to gather his stuff, and leave the place where he was staying and go to somewhere else. He was eating with care, being very careful how he ate, just to behave as one that would go into captivity. And the Lord had it to where if the people, the exiles that were in Babylon, were to ask Ezekiel what it is he was doing, then he was to basically tell them that this is a representation of what the Lord is going to do to the Israelites in Jerusalem. Okay. And so in Ezekiel chapter 13, it says here, "And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel that prophesy, and say thou unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts, Hear ye the word of the Lord Yahweh." Now, in Ezekiel chapter 13, this is something the Lord asked Ezekiel to do. Now, keeping it in context of the time period he was in, okay, this applied to the false prophets there and then at the time, but this chapter also applies to the false prophets in this time period that we're in. Okay, but I'll primarily, keep the context based on what was happening back then, but on certain verses that can be applied now, we can apply that now. But like I mentioned in a previous video, we've done numerous videos on linking these chapters and these verses to how they apply today. So there's tons of videos out there. If you type in GMS Ezekiel 13 or something like that, you'll get videos coming up on that. All right. So the Lord was basically telling Ezekiel, because at this time, remember, not only was there a lot of wickedness going on in the land in terms of the princes of the people, leading them astray, having them worshiping idols and bowing down to other gods and worshiping the sun, sacrificing onto these different gods. But you also had a lot of false prophets that were claiming that they came in the name and the spirit of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, but in actuality, they weren't. They were misleading the people. Just like you have false prophets here today. So the Lord told Ezekiel to prophesy against them and to speak and to basically condemn them according to the words of the Lord. So as it says here, "And say thou unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts meaning their own minds." So these are individuals that were making things up, right? What they were saying was not given from the Lord. The Lord didn't tell them, hey, go and tell them this. But they went and said, hey, the Lord said this is what's going to happen, according to their own vain thoughts and opinions. But they would just try to certify it by saying that the Lord sent them. And they were deceiving the people that way. Now, at this time period, primarily what they were doing was basically putting the people to rest, telling them that the Lord was going to, take down Babylon. They didn't have to worry about the Babylonians coming and besieging and destroying Jerusalem and all of that. Okay. Meanwhile, you had the righteous prophets, for example, Jeremiah, who was prophesying against that, saying, no, the Lord is going to bring the Babylonians again. And if you don't take heed, they're going to destroy this place. All right. So this is Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 3. "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing." So the Lord hasn't showed them a vision saying, this is what I'm going to do. But they get up and they go after their own spirit, whatever they feel is right. And then they make things up and they make it sound good. You see, that's the thing about the false prophets is they don't just throw anything up in the air. They build, they're like con artists, okay? they build, like if you read about con artists, they use, sometimes they're very vague, but they basically build this gathering, this following, uh, based on nothing, okay? And they manipulate people's minds so that it seems as though what they're saying is credible, and they always keep their followers in a mindset where their followers don't question them on certain things. And because they don't do that, nobody really is able to put them in that position of scrutiny, all right, where you can find out that what this guy is saying is BS. They'll always have some cover story, or something to like it says, soothsayers, to soothe your mind. Okay, but the Lord is saying here, woe unto them, destruction unto them. They're foolish prophets. They're going after whatever they think is right, but I haven't showed them anything. I haven't sent them. O Israel, thy prophets are like the foxes in the desert. Now, when you look up the foxes in the desert, or like a desert fox, those kinds of, they're of the same family, but they're not like your typical other kinds of fox. And they, the Lord obviously designed them in a way where they can survive in the desert. But primarily what they do is, they hunt, they eat like lizards and like, certain bugs and stuff. But you will find them primarily in desert areas, and their prey that they hunt are in the desert. They're underneath. So they use their huge ears to listen for their prey. And then when they find them, they dig up in the ground, in the dirt, to try and catch them. But pretty much all the saying is here about the prophets being like onto foxes in the desert, meaning that they're hunting for prey. All right, just like the desert foxes do. Okay, they hunt their prey, in the desert. So these prophets here were basically going about looking for prey, those that they can deceive, to garner followers and support. And that's pretty much what people like these false prophets even do today. That's why if you really scrutinize a lot of these other groups, you'll notice that there's a lot of flashiness, all right? But at the core of it all, there's more extracurricular activities than there are the actual focus of the ministry, which is to teach the scriptures the correct way. So, I mean, don't get it wrong. They do go into the scriptures, but there's a lot of focus on the extracurricular activities that will really attract people in. That's how they hunt these people. They go for the things that people are looking for, because majority of people are not actually looking for wisdom. They're looking for all the other things that come with being in a group. And then they can have their minds at peace, knowing that they're in an Israelite group. They're with men of God, so they're good. Verse 5, ye have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord. Okay, and the gaps is basically just like a breach. Okay, a breach in a wall, all right, or making up the hedges is filling it up and covering it. And this is metaphorically, right? Like if you have a breach or a hole, going up in there, filling it up and closing it is to solidify that defense, so that there are no gaps. There's nothing lacking. Okay, and that's how you would prepare the house of Israel. Now, the way the righteous prophets do that is by prophesying according to the word of the Lord and warning Israel. Okay, because when you have Israelites going off and you're not warning them and rebuking them, but instead you're promising them peace and prosperity, they're going to continue to do the wickedness that they're doing. And what is that doing? That is opening up holes and gaps that's going to lead the Lord to bring destruction in. Okay, like for example, when you read in the scriptures, it'll tell you the judgments for certain iniquities, and then at the end of it, it'll tell you, when you do this, you put away sin out of Israel. Because if you don't, then you start opening up those holes for more and more wickedness to grow. So by them just continuing to preach that prosperity to mislead the people, they're not preparing, okay, the house of Israel to stand in the day of in the battle in the day of the Lord. So when the Lord comes upon them, they're going to be found lacking and wanting, because the prophets deceived them and the people were deceived. Verse 6, they have seen vanity and lying divination, saying, the Lord saith, and the Lord hath not sent them. And they have made others to hope that they would confirm the word. So the vanity and lying divination, meaning the things that they're claiming to have seen. Oh, the Lord showed me this, and this and that, and the divination of this is what's going to happen, and yada yada yada, is false. Okay, it's made up. And then they co-sign it by saying, "Thus saith the Lord." This is what the Lord said. But the Lord here is saying to Ezekiel, prophesy against them and say, these people saying all this in my name, I didn't send them. All right. And they have made others to hope that they would confirm the word. Basically, they garner support, which can solidify their position as so-called prophets. The more people believe them, if a lot of people believe what they're saying to be right, then it is right. But that's not actually the case. Okay, but they're trying to get the hope which comes with the support of the people, which would confirm them in that seat of saying, yeah, these are the real men of the Lord. But a true prophet is not determined by how many followers they have. A true prophet is determined by the Spirit of the Lord and whether the words they speak are according to the Lord and whether they come to pass or not. Point blank, period. Verse 7. Have ye not seen a vain vision? And have ye not spoken a lying divination? Whereas ye say, the Lord Yahweh saith it, albeit I have not spoken. See? So you're saying, oh, the Lord showed me this. The Lord said this, right? The vain vision. It's vain because it's not going to happen. It's made up. And you're saying, and a lying divination, you're saying this is what's going to happen, but it's a lie. Okay? And you say the Lord said it, right? This is according to the word of the Lord. You're using the Lord's name falsely, and the Lord here was saying, I haven't told him that. Okay. Now, some examples, like back then, as we're gonna go into the scriptures and show in the precepts. Back then, they would say, oh, the Babylonians are not gonna come. The Lord's gonna take them down, and the Lord's saying, I didn't say that. The hell are you talking about? Okay. Today they'll tell you all sorts of things. They'll make up doctrine. They'll tell the MOTB is this, is that. It's an embargo. It's this, whatever the case is. Meanwhile, the Lord, He gave us all the answers in the scriptures already as to what the prophecies are. Okay, and as we keep on reading, He's gonna let it be known ultimately by breaking down and casting down these lies. Verse 8. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because ye have spoken vanity and seen lies, therefore, behold, I am against you, saith the Lord Yahweh. So because of these lies you're telling, deceiving the people, garnering their support and misleading them, now I'm against you. Now I'm your enemy. I'm opposed to you. Verse 9, and mine hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity and divine lies, not in the right way. When the Lord says his hand is going to be upon you, that means the Lord has now turned his attention upon you, and now he's going to start to come after you. He's going to start to perform things in your life, and it's not going to be for your prosperity. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, neither shall they be written in the writing of the house of Israel. Neither shall they enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Okay, meaning that in the, at least even back then, for example, in the assembly of my people, because the Lord ultimately was going to blot them out, okay, by destroying them. And them not being written in the writing of the house of Israel, meaning that they weren't going to be recorded, their works weren't going to be recorded in righteousness as honorable deeds. Okay, because typically the writings of the house of Israel were to to honor, okay, these great works. Like one example I'll give, which just came to mind, is let's see, maybe Sirach 39. Okay, not 39, maybe 42. Let's see. All right, let me word search this. Let us now. There we go. Sirach 44. Kind of close. Right. So he says, let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. It says here, the Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his power from the beginning, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, given counsel by their understanding, and declaring prophecies. And then it goes on and so forth, right? That's just an example that came to mind. Okay, so these writings would be in mention of the works that they did, all right, those that obviously followed the Lord. Okay, so these wicked prophets, these false prophets and these wicked individuals, they wouldn't be in that. Okay, both back then and in this time, because guess what? The things that we're doing today is being recorded, just like the things that were happening in the past. We have records and accounts of it now. But the highlight of it is the men of the Lord, those that did the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So when you read the scriptures and ultimately, when you read the scriptures, nobody wants to be like Saul. Nobody wants to be like Judas Iscariot. Nobody wants to be like him. Simon, what was that? Bar Jesus. You want to be like the Moses and the Solomons and the Elijahs, because they're the ones who are written of, all right, in an honorable sense. Okay, neither shall they enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Now, back then, what the Lord was doing was what he was going to do to these false prophets were, he was going to either put them to death, which he did for some of them, all right, but some of them were also going to flee to these other neighboring lands, and some were going to be taken captive out of the land and wouldn't return. Okay, but in this time, these false prophets, when it says they're not going to enter into the land of Israel, meaning that in this time when the Lord delivers his elect, because you still have those false prophets here today, they're not going to enter into the land of Israel the same way the elect are, meaning they're not going to be delivered and then taken there by the Lord. The way that they're going to make it into that land is going to be by being born again, being reincarnated, coming through the loins or the seed of the elect. Okay, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. So now the Lord is starting to pronounce the judgments he's going to start to bring against these false prophets. Verse 10, even because they have seduced my people, saying peace, and there was no peace. And one built up a wall, and lo, others daubed it with untempered mortar. So by seducing the people, they got them to let their guard down, to calm down, to be in a deceived mindset. And the way they do it, as it says here, was by saying, because here it is, imagine, right? Jeremiah, for example, is saying, the Lord says that Babylon is coming up. They already came here. They already took Jeconiah captive. They set up Zedekiah. They're going to come back. They're going to take this place out. They're going to completely subjugate you onto them. That puts people on edge. And it's the truth, but a lot of people don't want to hear it because it is not pleasant news. So when you have false prophets that see that, they can take advantage of that and say, we're going to tell the people what they want to hear. We're going to seduce them. We're going to tell them, don't listen to what this Jeremiah is saying over here. In fact, this is actually what's going to happen. Okay? There's going to be peace in the land. I don't want peace. There's going to be peace in the land. You don't got to worry about no Babylonians coming. As a matter of fact, the Most High is going to take them out. So you don't got to worry about nothing. And by that, they were seducing the people. And because the people, that's in line with what people want to hear. Nobody wants to hear that they're about to be taken captive. So you hear somebody saying, oh, the Lord said that this is going to be all good. They're going to jump right on it. Okay? So they said peace, and there was no peace, because in actuality, what they were saying, the Lord, it was a lie. Remember, it was all false. They were making it up, and they were taking advantage of the people. And one built up a wall, and lo, others daubed it with untempered mortar. And that wall, all right, ultimately is their false ways, their false prophecies, and their lies that they turned into doctrine. Okay, they turned it into the pseudo word of the Lord. That's that wall that they built. Okay, now, for example, when you go to the book of 2 Corinthians 4, verse 10. Whoa. Did I get the right one? Maybe it's 1 Corinthians. Let me see. 1 Corinthians. Oh, not 4 and 10. 2 Corinthians 10 and 4. Let me see. Here we go. So it says here, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. Right? Now, when you look into the word stronghold, a stronghold in the physical sense is like a fortress. Okay, and a fortress is basically like a city that's surrounded by these strong walls that are meant to protect that city from any danger. Right? Now, what we are doing, the weapons of our warfare is by preaching this word. Okay, so it's not physically us going and grabbing people up and going to physical war with them, but by preaching this word, it's pulling down those strongholds. Now, the strongholds here, we know, are not talking about physical walls or buildings or fortresses. The strongholds here is talking about ideologies, lies, okay, false imaginations, things that people have been made to believe, and it has been so solidified, it's likened onto a wall, like a strong wall. Actually, when you even look up the word stronghold here, it says a castle, stronghold, fortress of the arguments and reasonings by which a disputant endeavors to fortify his opinion and defend it against his opponent. So when you go back to Ezekiel, that wall, okay, was the false reasonings, okay, and the false prophecies and the lies that these false prophets were telling to build up that false narrative. Okay, it says, and lo, others daubed it with untempered mortars, which were more lies that they basically tapped on to their false doctrine in order to make it seem like it was actually solid. Now, when you look at, like, if you build a wall, say you get like bricks and so on and so forth, and you daub it, you plaster it with untempered mortar, it may look solid, it may look stable, but when the wind comes, a storm comes, anything that the wall is actually supposed to protect you from, when that actually comes through, that wall is going to be broken right down. It's not going to stand firm. Okay, so what they do is they made up this narrative according to their own vain opinion, and the rest of the false prophets continue to patch it up, to fill it in, to solidify it with more and more lies and deceits. And that's what they were doing back then. And guess what? That's what they're doing today. And that's why, for example, you would have one example that comes to mind is like Bishop Nathaniel. And one particular instance is when he was asked, I forgot where it was, what show it was on, but he was asked if there was going to be a time of Jacob's trouble. And he said no. Blatantly, we all saw it. It's on camera. It's on video. We can all even go back and reference it. He said no. Later on, he came back and said, well, if you listen to what I said clearly, oh, thou moron, I said we weren't in the time of Jacob's trouble, right? So what he was trying to do is he was trying to keep that wall up. Okay? By now, because now we picking at it. So now you got to come and try to, keep it up, plaster it. Keep it going. Okay. Now let's get a quick precept dealing with verse 9 and 10. Okay, about the lies that these false prophets were coming up with, these false narratives, these false prophecies that they were actually coming up with even at that very time. So now this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 20. Let's see. Let me go up a bit. All right. This is just to have enough context. Let me go up just a little bit more. And I gotta. All right. Let me just find a good spot somewhere here. Let's see. Jeremiah 29:13. And ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart, and I will be found of you, saith the Lord Yahweh. And I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you, saith the Lord, and I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive. Because ye have said, the Lord Yahweh hath raised us up prophets in Babylon, know that thus saith the Lord of the king that sitteth upon the throne of David, and of all the people that dwelleth in this city, which is Jerusalem, and of all your brethren that are not gone forth with you into captivity. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, behold, I will send upon them the sword, the famine, and the pestilence, and will make them like vile figs that cannot be eaten. They are so evil. And this is Jeremiah prophesying against the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Remember, and this is basically in parallel, right? This is like the same thing that Ezekiel was also prophesying against Jerusalem while Ezekiel was in Babylon. Verse 18, and I will persecute them with the sword, with the famine, and with the pestilence, and will deliver them to be removed to all the kingdoms of the earth, to be a curse and an astonishment and an hissing and a reproach among all the nations whither I have driven them. Because ye have not hearkened unto my words, saith the Lord Yahweh, which I sent unto them by my servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them, but ye would not hear, saith the Lord Yahweh. Hear ye therefore the word of the Lord Yahweh, all ye of the captivity, whom I have sent from Jerusalem to Babylon. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, of Ahab, the son of Koliah. Now, this is Jeremiah is saying this to those that were taken captive, right? That's why he says, hear ye therefore the word of the Lord, all ye of the captivity, referring to Ezekiel and the rest of them that are in Babylon, right? Whom I have sent from Jerusalem to Babylon. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, of Ahab, the son of Koliah, and of Zedekiah, the son of Maaseiah, which prophesy a lie unto you in my name. Behold, I will deliver them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and he shall slay them before your eyes. And of them shall be taken up a curse by all the captivity of Judah, which are in Babylon, saying, Yahweh make thee like Zedekiah and like Ahab, whom the king of Babylon roasted in the fire. So pretty much, not only did you have false prophets in Jerusalem, you also had false prophets among the captives over there, okay, that were also misleading the people as well. So like we read earlier, and I'm gonna keep on going down a bit, but as we read earlier in here, the Lord said that they weren't going to be in the assembly of his people, okay, and neither were they going to enter into the land of Israel, because ultimately he was going to blot them out. And he said his hand was going to be upon them because of the deceit and the lying words and the vain divination that they kept coming up with according to their own minds. Let's see. It says here, because ye have committed villainy in Israel, and have committed adultery with their neighbors' wives, and have spoken lying words in my name, which I have not commanded them. Even I know, and am a witness, saith the Lord Yahweh. See? So when you go back, as we were reading up above, the Lord was saying here, right? Let's see. Verse 7, have ye not seen a vain vision? And have ye not spoken a lying divination? Whereas ye say, the Lord saith it, albeit I have not spoken. So that's the same thing the Lord was, through Jeremiah, was saying to them here, that look, you got these individuals that are coming out saying these different things in the name of the Lord as if he said it, but he hasn't. Right? Reading it again, it says, and have spoken lying words in my name, which is a very dangerous thing, by the way, which I have not commanded them. Even I know and am a witness, saith the Lord. obviously I'm going to know because I didn't send you. All right, now we're going to jump down to verse 30. All right, there's another point here that I want to get. It says here, then came the word of the Lord Yahweh unto Jeremiah, saying, send to all them of the captivity, saying, thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Shemaiah and the Nehelamite, because that Shemaiah hath prophesied unto you, and I sent him not, and he caused you to trust in a lie. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will punish Shemaiah the Nehelamite and his seed, and he shall not have a man to dwell among this people. Neither shall he behold that good that I will do for my people, saith the Lord Yahweh, because he hath taught rebellion against the Lord. See? So as the Lord said, they weren't going to be amongst that congregation because he was going to block them out because of that wickedness that they were going about teaching and preaching. So the Lord is very particular and very careful about the information, all right, that you feed his sheep. Okay, so let's keep on going. Verse 11, say unto them which daub it with untempered mortar, and these are the false prophets, that it shall fall. That wall, that their false, we'll just put it like their false narrative, their false doctrine, their false lies and prophecies is going to fall. It's not going to stand. Okay. There shall be an overflowing shower, and ye, O great hailstones, shall fall, and a stormy wind shall rend it. So now this is speaking metaphorically, right? The wall is not an actual literal wall, just like the overflowing shower and the great hailstones and stormy winds are not actual literally, the Lord is not meaning that literally in this verse. But just like a wall daubed with untempered mortar is not able to stand and defend against, a flood or, hailstones or stormy winds, the Lord is saying here, the same way that wall would fall is the same way I'm gonna bring down your lies. Meaning you're gonna say one thing, you're gonna say that the Lord said this is gonna happen, and then that's not gonna happen. Or I'm gonna have the opposite thing happen. Or you're gonna say that this is not gonna happen, and then it's actually gonna happen. So one example is, let's go to the book of Jeremiah 28, and we'll just read this chapter is fairly short. But this is one example where you had this false prophet, it says right there, Hananiah's false prophecy, and the Lord basically rent it. He brought it down. All right, so this is Jeremiah 28:1. And guess what? The same thing happening today. As these groups that are saying that the mark of the beast is not the micro C-hip, guess what's going to happen? That's a false narrative that they've built up. And they continue to plaster it with these lies that they come out every two or so years and come and tell you, oh, well, now it's this. Now the MOTB is this. Now the MOTB is this, to try and keep that wall up. Guess what's going to happen? When the actual C-hip comes out, that wall is going to fall. It's going to collapse. And people are going to start asking questions. I thought you said that it was this. You went into the scripture over here. You went into Revelation 17. You even tried to tie it in with this. But what happened? I thought you said it was this. So why is this happening over here? Jeremiah 28:1. And it came to pass the same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 4th year and in the 5th month, that Hananiah, the son of Azur, the prophet, which was of Gibeon, spake unto me in the house of the Lord, in the presence of the priests and of all the people, saying, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts. Right? Pay attention now. This individual, Hananiah, he's now saying to Jeremiah in the presence of the priests and all the people, he's coming up claiming himself to be some prophet. And this is what he says. Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, saying, I have broken the yoke of the king of Babylon. And meaning that, remember that at this point, Zedekiah, right? Jeremiah makes mention, right, that in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, how did Zedekiah come up to reign? He was put in that place by Nebuchadnezzar under the condition that Judah would have to pay tribute and be subject to the Babylonians. So we were under their yoke. So what Hananiah was saying here is that the Lord said, I've broken the yoke of the king of Babylon. Within 2 full years will I bring again into this place all the vessels of Yahweh's house that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, took away from this place and carried them to Babylon. So he says, the Lord said, he done broken us free from the Babylonians. As a matter of fact, within 2 years, all the vessels, the gold, all the stuff Nebuchadnezzar took when he first came here, the Lord's going to bring it all back. That's what Hananiah is saying. And I will bring again to this place Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah. And Jeconiah, remember, was the one Nebuchadnezzar took captive to Jerusalem. He was the previous king. And Nebuchadnezzar took him captive and then set up Zedekiah. So Hananiah is saying, nah, Lord said he's going to bring him back. With all the captives of Judah that went into Babylon, saith the Lord Yahweh, for I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. So what is he doing here? He's giving these people false hope. He's telling these people, the Lord said in 2 years, he's gonna take down Babylon. He's gonna bring back Jeconiah. He's gonna bring back the gold vessels and all of that. And that's what? Peace. That's putting the people's minds at rest. Oh shit, that's good. Yeah, hell yeah. Then the prophet Jeremiah said unto the prophet Hananiah, in the presence of the priests and in the presence of all the people that stood in the house of the Lord. Even the prophet Jeremiah said, Amen, so let it be. The Lord do so, and the Lord perform thy words, which thou hast prophesied, to bring again the vessels of the Lord's house, and all that is carried away captive from Babylon onto this place. So yeah, indeed, like the Lord's going to bring back those things. Nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in thine ears, and in all the ears of, or in the ears of all the people. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. The prophet which prophesieth of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord Yahweh hath truly sent him. So basically Jeremiah was saying, I hear what you're saying, and indeed the Lord is going to bring back the vessels. But keep in mind that all the prophets, for the most part, that came before me, the Lord sent them to prophesy evil things against many countries and kingdoms. But for the prophets that are out here telling you that good things are coming, you got to wait and see. Wait to see, because when it actually comes to pass, then you're going to know that the Lord actually sent them. Then Hananiah the prophet took the yoke from off the prophet Jeremiah's neck and break it. Now, it's been a while since I read the full book of Jeremiah, so I'm sure when you go maybe a chapter before or 2 chapters before, you'll get some context as to why Jeremiah might have had a yoke on his neck in the first place. Okay, but in any case, in here in verse 10, Hananiah takes this yoke, right, and he breaks it. And Hananiah spake in the presence of all the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, even so will I break the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon from the neck of all nations within the space of 2 full years. And the prophet Jeremiah went his way. So this guy Hananiah is basically garnering the people. He's telling them, look, we're going to be good. We ain't got to worry about it. Okay, the Lord's in 2 years, the Lord's going to take these Babylonians out. Same way I just broke that yoke off of Jeremiah's neck, that's how the Lord is going to break Nebuchadnezzar. So Jeremiah left. Then the word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah the prophet, after that Hananiah the prophet had broken the yoke from off the neck of Jeremiah. So let's say this event happened, this is just for example's sake. This happened on a Monday afternoon. It doesn't mean 3 hours later, Monday night, Lord came to Jeremiah. Hey, it could have been, but then again, maybe it could have been just some time after, a couple of days, a week, who knows, right? But after this event occurred, the Lord came to Jeremiah and said, go and tell Hananiah, saying, thus saith Yahweh, thou hast broken the yokes of wood, but thou shalt make for them yokes of iron. For thus saith the Lord of hosts. So basically, you broke this yoke of wood, but in return, what's actually going to happen is y'all going to be put under yokes of iron. Okay? For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, I have put a yoke of iron upon the neck of all these nations, that they may serve Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and they shall serve him, and I have given him the beasts of the field also. Then said the prophet Jeremiah to Hananiah the prophet, hear now, Hananiah, the Lord Yahweh hath not sent thee, but thou makest this people to trust in a lie. Therefore thus saith the Lord, behold, I will cast thee from off the face of the earth. This year thou shalt die, because thou hast taught rebellion against Yahweh. So Hananiah the prophet died the same year in the 7th month. And guess what happened? 2 years later, the Babylonians were still in power. And you know what happened? They came and they took Israel captive. And they put them in some nice, solid yokes and carried their asses over to Babylon. So what happened to that thus saith the Lord, he's going to break the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar. In 2 years, this is all going to be good. And now think about it, right? For the most part, people are listening to this. What you think they're going to want to hear? They're going to want to hear that no, we're going to go into captivity to the Babylonians, or that they're going to want to hear that the Lord is going to take them down in 2 years. Of course, they're going to want to hear the latter. So Hananiah was taking advantage of that. He was deceiving the people. But what happened to his ass? The Most High put him to death. Okay. So once again, going back to Ezekiel 13, what the Lord is saying here is those lies, those false doctrines, the false narratives that you false prophets have built up like a wall, and that you continue to plaster it with more lies to keep it up. I'm going to bring all that down. When I bring these prophecies to come to pass, all those lies are going to fall down. Like a physical wall that wasn't set up right falls down when there's an overflowing shower or there's great hailstones that come against it. That's how I'm going to bring down your lies. Verse 12, lo, when the wall is fallen, shall it not be said unto you, where is the daubing wherewith ye have daubed it? So in the literal context, if you built a house, right? Let me give you a modern day example. If you went and you're building a house, obviously it's not you literally building it. Construction workers and so on and so forth are doing it. If a certain company is contracted to come and build a certain facility, and something goes down, and the structure they built is supposed to stand firm, but it doesn't, it breaks down. Guess what? They're gonna start asking questions, saying, hold on, weren't y'all the guys who built this? Like, aren't you supposed to know that you're supposed to use this material instead of that? Didn't you guys go ahead and do this? So why is this breaking down? Now, in the context of how it relates to the false prophets is when the Lord rends your lies and it's seen openly that all the shit you made up is actually a lie. People are going to ask you. That's what the Lord is saying here. Shall it not be said unto you, where is the daubing wherewith ye have daubed it? Wait, didn't you say that the MOTB wasn't the C-hip? I mean, they had to say that in order to keep their lies upright, right? If you said that MOTB is not a physical thing they're going to put inside your body, and then you kept on coming up with more and more lies to keep that narrative going, when the actual physical thing comes out, people are going to ask you, wait, you said there wasn't a physical thing. You said it just represented your devotion and your hard work, and your hand representing the energy you're going to use to serve this man. At one point, you said it was an embargo. So people are going to start asking questions. As to say, how come all the evidence, all the narratives, all the lies which they're going to realize it's lies at that time. They're going to say all the things you said to make us believe that this was true. What happened to that? Because now we're seeing the opposite things happening. Verse 13, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, I will even rend it with a stormy wind in my fury, and there shall be an overflowing shower in mine anger, and great hailstones in mine fury to consume it. So in other words, I'm gonna bring down, okay, your false narratives, your false doctrines, and I'm gonna bring it down in such a way, okay, that there's gonna be no room for you to even recover. And like I gave an example of how the Lord did this in the ancient time was those false prophets that came out and said, no, don't worry, Babylonians are not coming. We're gonna be all good. What happened? The Babylonians came and they completely annihilated. They broke down the walls. They burnt the shit. They broke down the temple, destroyed it, killed Israelites, men, women, and children, and then took some captives. The Lord completely made it known by a painful experience that the things that the false prophets were saying was false. But the way the people found out was in such a devastating way. And in this time, I keep going to the MOTB as an example, but there's many other things. But that's just like one of the main examples, right? In this time, all the false beliefs and reasonings and opinions that these false prophets have made, certain Israelites to believe, the Lord is going to bring all of that down in such a devastating way. Okay, that's what he means by rending it with the stormy wind and fury, meaning that when it goes down, it ain't gonna be no way to say, oh, well, I said that it was actually this, but if you listen clearly, there ain't gonna be none of that. It's gonna be more than clear that you were wrong and that you were deceiving the people. Okay, now here's a made-up example, right? That's like if you went and told people the name of the Lord is not Yahweh and the name of his son is not Yahushai, right? For years. And you over time, people would ask you questions and you would go into the Bible and you would find a way and say, see, this verse here says this verse here says that. To back up your point that the name of the Lord is not Yahweh and his son's name is not Yahushai. What you're doing is you've built up a wall of lies, and every so often you go into a certain book and you try to find precepts to basically keep that wall up. And then once again, it's a made up example. Let's say one day the Lord actually just opens up the skies and you just see a giant face up in the clouds and you hear a deep voice. And the face is like a woolly hair, white beard, and you hear, my name is Yahweh and my son's name is Yahushai. See, at that point, like there's no, it's a direct breakdown of the BS that you done built up. And there's no way to come back from that. Everybody witnesses it and looks up and says, okay, wait, hold on. You said that the name of the Lord wasn't Yahweh though, but he himself, he just came down and said that that's his name. You're completely through. Then people gonna start asking questions. Yeah, what? You had us believing this for years. You had us backing this up and teaching it with precepts. And that was a complete lie. And we can all see it. All right, verse 15, it says, let me see. Oh, actually, I think I'm on 14. So will I break down the wall that ye have daubed with untempered mortar, and bring it down to the ground, so that the foundation thereof shall be discovered, and it shall fall, and ye shall be consumed in the midst thereof, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. So basically, like what I just said, the Lord is gonna, make it evident and known with the overwhelming evidence, mainly of prophecy, that these lies that were built up, okay, and that were plastered to keep them up, were just that. They were lies. And he's gonna break it all down to the ground. And people are actually gonna suffer. They're gonna find out it was a lie, but they're gonna find out the hard way. Okay, because they had believed a lie. And they're gonna know who the Lord is and who he's really dealing with, who his true prophets are. Okay, verse 15, it says, thus will I accomplish my wrath upon the wall and upon them that have daubed it with untempered mortar. So upon those lies, upon those false prophecies, false breakdowns, false, doctrines, all right, and upon the false prophets, because they're the ones who are daubing it. They're the ones who are coming up with new shit to keep it up, more and more lies to support their narrative, right? And will say unto you, the wall is no more, neither they that daubed it, because it's going to be apparent, and the Lord is going to ultimately destroy them, just like he took out Hananiah. Verse 16, to wit, the prophets of Israel which prophesy concerning Jerusalem, which see visions of peace for her, and there is no peace, saith the Lord Yahweh. So once again, like that one example I just brought out with Hananiah, but it wasn't just him. There were other people, both in Israel and also in amongst the captives, who were prophesying this false sense of peace onto the people. Because remember, Hananiah said, thus saith the Lord. He said, the Lord said this. Okay, but there's no peace. Verse 17, likewise, thou son of man. So now you've prophesied against these false prophets. Same way I want you to prophesy, right? Set thy face against the daughters of thy people, which prophesy out of their own heart, and prophesy thou against them. So not only did you have these wicked, it was just all out mayhem. Not only did you have these false prophets, you also had these women out here, just like you do today, that were coming out and deceiving people, claiming themselves to be prophetesses, if that's even a word. Okay, for fortune tellers. The Lord came to me. I'm Deborah in the reincarnation. I also got some knowledge. Just like today, you got dudes that got their women on there. They prophesying with their women. Well, the Lord told Ezekiel, prophesy against those women, okay, which are prophesying out of their own heart. Now, if a man comes up with some BS like this, how much more for a woman? Okay, and I'm just speaking scripturally. Now, don't get it twisted. There's women out there the Lord blessed with wisdom. But if you're dealing with a wicked man, how much more wickedness would you hear from the mouth of a wicked woman? And trust and believe, they know how to make even the dumbest shit sound good. You ever try to argue with a woman that just knows how to talk? They'll play the victim so bad. Here it is, you're not wrong, but you're paying for it. How does that work? Verse 18, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, woe to the woman that sew pillows to all armholes, and make kerchiefs upon the head of every stature, to hunt souls. Will ye hunt the souls of my people? And will ye save the souls alive that come unto you? Now, basically what the Lord was saying here is, because you had those women that were doing this, the armholes are pretty much like that region, your underarms, your armpits. Okay, so them sewing pillows, which when you look up the word pillows in here, it'll tell you like a band or like a fillet. So you can imagine, some charm, right, or some form of a cosmetic or a gimmick. All right, because that's what they were using. They were using gimmicks to give the appearance that they were what word am I looking for here? Basically, that they had some credibility to them. Let me give you an example. You ever walk into, which I haven't, but from movies and stuff like that, you walk into them like botanicas and fortune teller places. You walk in there, you're gonna see like, I don't know, a woman dressed a certain kind of way. She got the cards, she got the ball, she got the certain chair and seats, and you got to go through this door here. And I'm making things up, but like I said, according to things that I've seen, she's doing things here, and that's all to give you an effect, as though she's like realism, like, oh yeah, she really got to be the real deal. It's not like she's just like one chick dressed regularly on the side of a street somewhere telling you, hey, I'm gonna tell you your fortune. They got to have that whole effect. So these women were doing that, right? They would sew these charms, these bands upon, you come up into wherever it is they were doing this shit. They put that right around your arm. As it says, they make kerchiefs, which when you look into that word, it goes into like a veil, that they would put, as it says, upon all armholes and upon the head of every stature. Basically anybody that came to them, or that they were able to lure to believe their lies, They would, put the veil upon them. They would put these things on their arms, to give that effect as though what they were saying, okay, was true. But in addition, what they were saying was they were just telling people what they wanted to hear. Okay? And majority of that was prophesying onto them of assurance of life, of peace. When in actuality, that was not what was going to happen. So that's why the Lord says here to hunt souls, because that's what they were doing. They were misleading and deceiving the people, just like the false prophets were. And just like they're doing, they got some people that do that today too. So the Lord says, will ye hunt the souls of my people? And will ye save the souls alive that come unto you? When they come to you and you tell them that, oh, you gonna make it, you good, don't worry about nothing. You gonna live, everything is all good. Do you have the power to actually save them alive? Verse 19, and will ye pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley and for pieces of bread? To slay the souls that should not die, and to save the souls alive that should not live, by your lying to my people that hear your lies? So, because once again, a lot of them were doing this, co-signing the Lord. Because remember, even back then, everybody knew, we knew the name of the Most High. Okay. Today, it's a different story, but you knew the name of the Most High. So they were polluting the Lord by saying things in the Lord's name that the Lord didn't actually say. Lying to people, deceiving them and luring them in. As it says, for handfuls of barley and for pieces of bread. Because also keep in mind that at the time, right, as in this time period, the Lord did send famine. He did tell Ezekiel that they were going to eat their drink their water carefully, so they were going to have very little access to these things. So these things were precious, barley, bread, all those things. So people were basically doing whatever to get that. And the Lord is saying, you're going to pollute me for some barley and pieces of bread by misleading these people and then trying to use my name to do it, to slay the souls that should not die. Because you had people, remember that you had a good amount of people that were deceived, but you also had people that saw through it. So what do you think these false prophetess would say about those people? Do you think they would say good things? Because guess what? If you were somebody in the land that saw through this, you would tell them, look, she's making that shit up. That's not true. The Lord said this is going to happen. What do you think she's going to say about you when people go to her? Yeah, that guy, the Most High is going to take him out. Just like he wanted them. Okay. It says, and to save the souls alive that should not live. So here it is. The Lord has pronounced judgment against particular individuals. But when they come to you, you tell them they're going to be good. They're going to be fine. Girl, I'm fine. All right. It says, and will ye save this, where is I at? And save the souls alive that should not live by your lying to my people that hear your lies. Because that's how they were doing it. Through their lies, they were deceiving these people. And the Lord is saying, you polluting my name, you doing all this. Are you going to be able to actually, you telling this guy he's going to live? Is that actually going to happen? You saying it like you got the power to do it. But it goes to show you the level of wickedness and disobedience that was happening. And this is why. These are the intricate examples as to why the Lord brought such a great judgment. Because if you read the actual descriptions of what happened when a nation, look, you got to understand on a practical level what it's actually like to be under siege. You must be afraid, right? If you got kids, if you don't, things are harder. Food is scarce. Now there's a famine inside. And you know that once these armies break through, they're raping your wives, they're killing your children, they might kill you, they might take you captive. And when they take you captive, wherever they're taking you, you're not gonna be on the back of an ass. You're a slave, bro. So you're going there to work. All right? Meaning if you survive the journey to that place. So it was pretty, it was a pretty painful experience to go through something like this. But now you understand why the Lord did it. Because of this level of wickedness that was going on. And how much more in this time. Verse 20, wherefore, thus saith the Lord God. Wherefore, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against your pillows, wherewith ye hunt the souls to make them fly, and I will tear them from your arms, and will let the souls go, even the souls that ye hunt to make them fly. Now remember that it said they sewed these pillows to the armholes, right? Which being like those cosmetics, those bands. So the Lord is saying, I'm against that, because that was a means they would use to sort of bewitch the people, to charm them, right? Wherewith they would hunt the souls to make them fly, which when you look into the word fly, because when you actually look at a lot of the other translations, they translate it as likening what these women were doing to somebody trapping birds, right? Because it uses the word fly. But actually, when you look up the word fly in here, it's parach, which is to bud, sprout, shoot, bloom, to break out, to cause to bud, to sprout. Now there was one definition in here which says, there we go, in the Strong's definition, figuratively, to flourish, right? To flourish, to bloom, generally to spread. And let's see what else they have in here. Yeah, it says to sprout, to flourish. Okay, so basically, how were they making these people to quote unquote fly? Through their lies, telling them that they were gonna flourish, telling them that they were gonna, survive and live good, and whatever the case is, basically putting them to peace. And just like the false prophets were prophesying peace when there was no peace, these women were also using their ways to seduce the inhabitants, okay, of the Lord's people. So the Lord says, I would tear them from your arms, those pillows, those charms, and let the souls go, even the souls that ye hunt to make them fly. So basically what the Lord is saying in a nutshell is, all your charms and the seduction methods you're using to deceive and lie to these people, I'm going to bring it all to naught. Okay? I'm going to show them reality. You telling them they're going to be good, they're going to be all right, ain't no danger coming. Guess what? Reality check. Look outside the wall and then tell me what you see. Verse 21, your kerchiefs also will I tear, and deliver my people out of your hand, and they shall be no more in your hand to be hunted, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So basically, all the things that they were deceiving the people with, the Lord was going to do away by bringing reality, to show them that all the things that these people were telling you in concerning peace, that's not what's going to happen. Okay, you should listen to Jeremiah. Okay, because this is really what's coming to you. So yeah, they would be freed from the lies. They wouldn't be under that deception anymore. But I mean, the way they would find out wouldn't be pleasant. You know what they say, ignorance is bliss. Verse 22, because with lies ye have made the heart of the righteous sad, whom I have not made sad. So the lies that you said and pronounced against the righteous men of the Lord, okay, to make them sad, that's not what I said. And strengthen the hands of the wicked, that he should not return from his wicked way by promising him life. Yeah, because why is he going to go and repent and stop his wickedness if you're telling him that everything is fine? He can continue to live the way he's living and he's going to be fine. Don't listen to what those prophets are saying about danger coming. Nah, that's not coming. You're good. So is there going to be a time, something similar to slavery? Nope. We're going to be eating and drinking and la-di-da-di-da, and the Lord is going to come and deliver us. Oh yeah? Is that so? Interesting. Verse 23, therefore ye shall see no more vanity, nor divine divinations, for I will deliver my people out of your hand, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. And that's the end of Ezekiel chapter 13. All right, pretty much the Lord said, I'm going to put an end to all these lies, all these false, prophecies, all these false divinations. I'm going to put it all to an end. Okay, and this is what he was telling Ezekiel to basically say. So with that, I know this was a little lengthy, but Lord willing, it was still edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barcha, Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.